welcome to the service management portion of MRI 4.4. You can see a few slight differences in here, however, basic same layout and usage. As before, you can see that the service activity over on the left hand side on the Service Manager homepage, which can be located from this drop down, allows you to actually manage your service requests. So you can actually enter a new request from here. You can also search and manage those requests as well. This is the exact same thing as going through the drop down in Service, Add Request, or Manage Requests. The Make Ready Master Schedule, as it is here and here, we don't want to use. The reason is because this is pulling what MRI thinks are the most important, when in fact they may not be the most important. So let's make sure to actually use the actual Make Ready Status dashboard and not the actual just service drop down. Next, over here, as you can see the service activity, it breaks it out just like it did before. You can see unassigned, in process, outside contractor, parts on order, make ready, and total. It also tells you if anything's over 24 hours, says what the oldest is in the total, and you can print an outstanding report as well, which is really handy if you want to see all your service requests. It does allow you to put in runtime options such as summary, detail, and group by assignee. For this example, we'll just print the summary. Again, anything that you print, you always go down to your bottom right hand corner to the light bulb or the communication center in order to pull that report out of the queue. So, pretty handy report, very easy to use, especially in team meetings. Next is if you go into any one of these areas as well, you can just automatically go into that list of service requests, so very similar to what the report was pulling, but the actual live information. And then you can also drill way down into the report as well, as if you just want that service request pulled up. So pretty handy area. Again, you can go through the Manage Request. It's either the Search Analyze from the home screen, or you can go through the Service Drop-Down Manage Request. Same thing. This gives you your search menu in order to find those particular service requests. If you're at a pod or multiple properties, you can select it from here. You can also select it by resident, unit and building number, and you can do it by dates as well, so reported dates. So the really cool thing is, let's say that you want to know for the first quarter of 2013 how many plumbing requests you got. You can really use this area in order to figure that out. So for example, I'm going to put in the first of the year to the end of March. I'm going to uncheck all under types. I'm going to locate plumbing. And then I'm going to search the menu for them. Really cool. You can get all that information. Also open hours. It also should flag you too. You can see how long these have been open. Obviously this is training mode in make-believe land. However, this would raise a red flag and I would want to go in and see why they've been open for so long. So really handy area. Alright, so back to our Service Manager homepage. Let's actually go in and add a request. So again, you can go from New Request, and this will bring up a pop-up window, which is kind of handy if you want to stay on your Service Manager homepage. Or you can go through the Service drop-down and just bring up that singular window. So when you go in here, the very first thing is it populates your property ID in there. It already puts in status. You're going to put which department it's assigned to, and then the request ID populates once you save this report. There's 3 different types of requests you can enter. The very first one is a resident request. So if you click in here, use this list box so you can locate that resident. It auto-populates their information across here as well. So if there's no email, for example, in here, that means it's not in the resident's last name. So you're going to want to make sure that you gather that information, and then also put it in the last name so you don't have to type it in here every time. I'll come back to it and show you where in the Occupants tab you're going to want to enter that information, so it'll auto pull here for you. The other type of request is you can do a non-resident request. So this is like a common area request. Some properties have common areas that they list in here, some don't. However, you can see in this example, maybe it's a playground, and if there's any equipment associated with that playground, You can put that in. Contact information goes blank because obviously it's not a resident request, so you're going to want to make sure that you don't fill that out. And then the last type of request is like a vacant unit work order. So instead of going through the resident, you're going to go through the building ID first and then put in the unit ID. So again, 3 different types of requests: resident requests, non-resident request, and vacant unit work order. Okay, once you have all that information in, now you're going to come down to the service request details. So from here you can see the 4 different ones that it has available for you. The one we want to make sure we never use is life and safety, and 99% of the time it's going to be a service request. Category, you're going to choose the most appropriate category from here. If they give you a category where there's multiple things on there, for example maybe like a broken stove and the blinds are bent or something like that, since those are 2 different categories, you're going to want to put in 2 different requests. And I think that makes a little bit more sense now that we've looked at the manage request area, because it tells you, it categorizes everything for you so you can ask analytical questions to it. So if you're putting those in here in categories, it'll help you out when you're trying to mine for them as well. In this case, let's go ahead and do a plumbing request. The priority we always want to leave on A. You can see the different priorities on here. These do print out on the tickets and the resident sees it, so if you got a low priority ticket you might feel a little crummy. So go ahead and keep it on the A, and then it's up to our maintenance team to decide what the priority of stuff is. In the work requested, you do have a character spacing limit. So you're going to want to put the best, most detailed description you possibly can in this amount of space. If it doesn't all fit in here, you can carry into special instructions. However, if it will fit in here, please don't put something like see special instructions or plumbing or something like that and then finish it off in special instructions. The reason is because the work request category right here actually pulls to a lot of reports maintenance supervisors and regional maintenance supervisors use. So make sure to put the best, most detailed description in here. So in this example, we'll just do a quick one like P-trap. Now obviously I would put in a lot more information, but for this example we'll just put that in. Next is authorization to enter, or PTE as some people refer to it as. It could be any time or specific date and time if allowed. So if you do specific date and time, please make sure to put an actual date and time in there, otherwise it's going to confuse the resident. The time and date cell format, so for example if I type in 1P, it's going to understand that it's 1:00 space PM, so that'll save you a little bit of time. Next, there's pets and alarms. These are great special instruction notes. So let's say that I have a mean dog and dog's going to be locked in the bathroom from 1 to 3. So that could be a great note, especially for our service team. You never really want to walk in a place when there might be a dog on the prowl. Alright, so once you finish that, now all you have to do is just hit print. It'll come over to your communication center, or queue as we learned earlier. And it looks very similar to what we've been using. Okay, once all the information is finished, you're going to go ahead and hit save. And now it's going to exist under our manage requests, or again you can go through search analyze. Now I don't remember much about that ticket, but I remember it's open, so this is a very easy way to find stuff, and stuff that you're really interested in is all the in-process items. So we can see it in here. You can also see within the request ID as well is PA is the site ID, for example. I put in HO because I'm a home office user, so HO. If you see any with all zeros in front, that indicates that it came from Resident Portal. So just based on the request ID, you can tell where that actual request came from. So let's go ahead and go in there, and we're going to close this guy out. So status, we're going to change it from in process to work completed. If there was a necessary schedule time or time in, time out type of information that can be entered, you can put that right there. Action notes, you're going to want to put in the best, most detailed notes you possibly can. If you unclogged a P-trap in there and somebody doesn't know what a P-trap is, it's a really good idea to put your initials on the end. The reason is like I said, if they don't know what a P-trap is, they know they can ask RR or Ryan Roberts, hey, what is a P-trap? So that can be really helpful information. Okay, go ahead and hit save. And then you can see that it clears from my in-process list. So a lot of really powerful tools. Another one that I really like as well, in addition to our example before of looking at first quarter plumbing requests, is you get that one resident that says they've put in the same work order 10 times and it's never been addressed. Well, now you can go in here and check, has it actually ever been put in 10 times? So it'll really help you out in actually digging through and making sure that issues get resolved and that you actually have all the information you need. Notice as well there's a new request down here, so you can actually add one from here as well. And then if you have these runtime options set up and you want to kind of start over, there's a clear button too. For roving, regional, stuff like that, you can switch between all your properties in here. It also is great if you're at a pod property. Alright, so that's the service request area. Let's go ahead and switch gears just a little bit and go into the make ready schedule and board. So the make ready status board in here is really handy. You can actually go through and schedule stuff out. So for example, in here I can see I got some vacant readies, and I can clear in there or click in there and see kind of what's going on with it. Everything looks like it was done on there, and you can also pull up the actual unit ID to see what was completed. Let's go and do vacant not readies. Click on a unit ID and show an example of how we want to schedule these. So this box right here, the scheduling box, what it does is it pulls the most current date in the system here, and then if that's going to be a different date, you can modify it there. So it's up to you. If you unclick it and re-click it, it'll repopulate it again. So it's really handy in that regards. However, if that's not the actual date when the work is going to be scheduled for, you're going to have to actually physically click in that box and modify it. We'll pretend like everything's going to get done on the same day except for the final walk. It's going to happen one day after. And then based on all this information right here, that's how I know the date that it's going to be ready. So I'm going to give myself one day after the final walk just to make sure I got everything done. So this is step one. Once you get step one done, always hit save. Don't hit complete before you hit save because it won't record those scheduled dates. So schedule everything, put your date ready, and save, then go back in. Again, the reason is it won't save those scheduled dates that you have everything set up for. Okay, now once you've gone back in, now you're going to go through complete. So, okay, the walk was done on the 13th, trash, paint. This is going to get pushed to the 14th, whatever it might be. So you can go in and basically update this on a daily basis or as work is completed. So in this example, let's do a few of them. You can see this is how far I've gotten. Alright, so let's flash forward to the 14th and say everything's done. Everything looks great. The unit's ready for occupancy. Notice how it resets this date when you check it. Again, since we're talking about the future here, we're going to go ahead and reset that date again. And you can see it drops it right off here because it's no longer a not ready, now it is a ready. So this is a great function in here to use that particular stuff. There's also an area down here that says create work order for selected items. All it does is it basically populates a work order for these particular selected items. That can be good if these are items that we do in-house or something like that and you need to communicate to somebody and kind of enter additional information or give them a ticket in order to do it and track it and stuff like that. If it's outside contracting and vendors, keep in mind that it's going to show the reported time, open, and date and stuff like that, so it may not necessarily work for every situation, especially if you don't want to open service requests. Notice how it does it as a vacant unit work order too. It doesn't associate it with a resident or non-resident. Alright, so that's kind of the scheduling piece in there. Again, it's going to track everything here through you, so you want to make sure that you're entering your scheduling, saving, going back in, and then completing it. because that's really how it's going to update and record for you. There's also another really handy report in here. There's print make ready schedule. So what the print make ready schedule does is it gives you a nice little list that you can take around on a clipboard, have in a team meeting, do a discussion with, walk units. It's really awesome in that regards. It also categorizes it just like you have it categorized up here. Same idea, is it kind of breaks those vacants out for you and the notices out for you so you can go through and do your appropriate scheduling. Another really handy thing is you can send it straight to Excel, and we'll leave this in the communication center for a second, and you can also email it too. So if you need to go through and email it to maybe your supervisor or RSM or somebody from corporate, something like that, you can just email it straight from here. I would always suggest putting in an accurate subject and message so your spam filters don't pick it up. PDF is usually the best attachment type because it's non-editable, and everybody usually has their PDF viewer on whatever machine they're on. Alright, let's go ahead and pull this up in Excel format. And you can see this is what it looks like. The other really neat thing in here too is the world of Excel and everything that you can do with it, and the formulas and all that kind of great stuff. Even mobile devices these days have access to Excel, so you can do just about anything in here. Alright, we're going to close out of there. Alright, next one is you can see on the bottom the calendar. There used to be days populated in here, kind of like what was there and kind of left. That's no longer the case, so if you're interested in looking at those days, I would strongly suggest going to either the property manager homepage or the leasing agent homepage in order to get that information, because it's a little bit more accurate for you. So, good info. Alright, very last piece is reports. So if you go through the reports drop down, there's a few in facility management that are really handy. Probably the number one that people really enjoy is the work orders within 10 days. We'll go ahead and do Riverside, that's fine, we'll do it for March. Notice a new option in here, it says last runtime options. Before it always did default style, but whatever you pulled the report as last, it saves it for you and says last runtime options. So that's a really neat enhancement they made as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and print that, let that sit in the communications center. Some other ones that you can pull in here, and I would encourage you to go through a lot of these just so you can see how the reports look, what they're for, and then how you can use them as well. So pretty handy stuff. We'll pull it for Palms again. Again, this is a training mode, so this isn't real information. We're going to do, let's say, 01 2013 through 03 2013, and go and print that too. Again, when you have a chance, go back in and pull some more of these to see how you can utilize them, or if you want to utilize them. So let's start on the 10-day one. So you can see this, great, excellent job, no defects. We had a total of 6 move-ins. So awesome, really cool report. Here's another one, outstanding work order list. So very similar to that button that we pushed from the home page. Really handy, days aged, how long it's been open, and who it's assigned to, the status, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, last but not least, as promised, we were going to look at where you actually go in and input resident email or phone number information, so it pulls to the ticket automatically, in case either that's out of date or if that person just never really put it in there. So for example, if we click on last name ID, occupants tab, last name again, It's just listed right in here. Phone number, email. Again, if it's missing from here, it's going to be missing from the work order page or when you're trying to populate work orders. Okay. And then finally, when you get work orders that are submitted through Resident Portal, we kind of already foreshadowed that the request ID is going to start with all zeros, and they're also going to exist under no actions. So in here, if you click on no action, this is where they're going to exist for you. So as soon as you find them in here, and there's typically none in here because people just immediately go in and change them to in process, you're going to want to click on the request ID and change them to in process. So for example, I'm just going to pull up an in process one real quick for you. Right up here. So if it says no action is how it's going to default in there, you're going to go in and change it to in process. And that's it. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a wonderful afternoon.